Hello, my name is Andy, and I am the Village Idiot, and I'm armed with a car and a GoPro, and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to West Lindsey in Lincolnshire. Now today, I'm beginning on the B1399, which is a road that runs between the A158, the Lincoln to Skegness Road, and Market Raisin, and it's a very quiet, very rural part of the county, as you can tell from the countryside that's behind me and all around me. In fact, if I turn the camera around, you'll see exactly what I mean. Would you look at this? Glorious, open Lincolnshire countryside. And because of this, there isn't really much in the way of habitation in the small hamlet that I'm about to present to you in this episode. There's not much to tell you about this one. It'll be a very short video. Welcome to Fulnetby. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Fulnetby is a tiny hamlet in the West Lindsey district of Lincolnshire, situated approximately 8 miles northeast of the city and county town of Lincoln. There are very few properties, and it's hard to call this one even a hamlet for that reason. Perhaps the nearest actual settlement would be Rand, from which Fulnetby gained some land in 1877. This is one of the most sparsely populated places in the county, so much so that most of the area Fulnetby covers is open fields and farmland. Once larger than the present-day hamlet, Fulnetby is considered a deserted medieval village, with former earthworks in fields to the east of Fulnetby Hall. Known as Hall Garths, these are those fields. As you can see, there's nothing left of the earthworks which once would have been here. This is Fulnetby Hall, one of the few properties in this part of Lincolnshire. It's a Grade II listed building dating from the 16th century, with a moat on its north and western sides. The moat was recorded by Ordnance Survey as being L-shaped with water-filled north and west arms and traces of a south arm, latterly reduced to a north and south ditch only. Outside the hall is a post box, because even though Fulnetby is so small, the people that live here still need these services. Fulnetby is listed in the 1086 Domesday Book as Fulnetby, with 12 households, 100 acres of meadow and 120 acres of woodland. Some of that woodland still exists. The population is tiny, so small in fact that there's no demographic information available for this one. I can tell you the modern day boundaries cover some 4.5 square kilometres. Now, whilst Fulnetby's medieval village may be gone, there were in fact 2 medieval settlements here. The remains of Fulnetby were destroyed in 1953, but we're off in search of the other one. The second lost medieval village was called Helethorpe or Halethorpe, and it was located nearby. It was documented from 1212 to 1711, and only earthworks remain. Try as I might before I came here, I couldn't locate where it was sited, but I did find some potential places, including off this bridleway. I think it's here. I think it's this area you can see behind me here, because the ground looks like it's uneven, a few earthworks. Not totally sure. You can generally tell earthwork sites normally because they do look a little uneven, like we have here in this little field behind these houses. So I think it's this. Does anybody know for definite where it was? A little further away from that area is a road off the B1399 towards Snelland. At that junction is perhaps Fulnetby's only amenity, a boarding kennels and cattery. This is the Tiptree Pet Hotel. The kennels are brick built and have large indoor resting areas and outside covered runs, keeping pets dry on wet days. The cattery is made of a section of chalets which all have familiar hotel-like names. These are the Ritz, the Savoy, the Carlton and the Hilton. Classy. At the Pet Hotel, there's another potential area which could have been the site of Halethorpe. See what you make of this one. So here outside the Pet Hotel, there's another field which looks like a potential site where the medieval village could have been. And this, I think, is perhaps a little bit more likely. The undulations here, you can see, are more pronounced, which tells me this could well be the site of the medieval village. Now, as you might expect with a place this small, there's going to be no picture bit, and there's also going to be no Strava map. There's no way on earth you can make a route out of this, because it's just basically laid out along this one minor road between the A158 and Market Raisin. We're not quite finished with Fulnetby though, because I've shown you the main parts: the Pet Hotel, Fulnetby Hall, potential sites of the deserted medieval village. But there's also, if I turn the camera around again here, this road, the B1399, which runs to the A158. Before it hits the A158, there's a sort of loopy area where there's like a little pond. I'm not sure what that pond's all about, but to have a look at that, we're going to be putting this camera on the dashboard and driving around that before heading back this way and turning left at the Pet Hotel to go up towards my next one here in West Lindsey. So let's go and have a look at that. So here's a short drive south along the B1399 to the A158. At the junction you can turn back on yourself via a small access road leading from the A158 back to the B1399. This effectively runs around a huge lake, and I was soon to discover what that lake was. Also down here, there's a small caravan park located close to the water's edge. So here's the lake, or should I say lakes plural. Named Fent Lakes, these make up a beautiful well-stocked coarse fishery comprising of 3 lakes named Theo, Phoenix and Oakley. And that really is all I can tell you about Fulnetby, just a tiny hamlet almost in the middle of nowhere sat between Lincoln and Market Raisin. There are a few other isolated farm buildings and properties at this southern end seen here, but all that was left to do at this point was hop back into the car and drive back to the junction at the Pet Hotel. and all those open fields and countryside continue to the north, and I find myself now in my next village. But for now, this has been the parish of Fulnetby, a very interesting one, even though it's very small here in West Lindsey. Time for me to move on. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.